Right now on Morning News Now, sending a message. Hezbollah is vowing revenge after a deadly coordinated attack across Lebanon. The militant group accusing Israel of blowing up pagers belonging to its members, leaving at least 12 dead and nearly 3,000 hurt. What we've learned about the attack and how Israel and the U.S. are responding. Also this morning, rapper Diddy Combs is waking up behind bars. The music mogul denied bail following a sprawling indictment accusing him of multiple federal crimes, including sex trafficking. How investigators say Combs used his business empire to pressure victims and the disturbing items seized from his home. Plus, on the campaign trail, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump campaign around the country. The new bitter battle over heated rhetoric and conspiracy theories, with less than 50 days now to go until the election. And she was barely out of college when she started what would become one of the most successful businesses for home service professionals. This morning, I'm sitting down with the woman behind Angie, formerly known as Angie's List, to discuss how she went from intern to CEO, a website you might have used before. Good morning. I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks so much for joining us on a Wednesday. Joe Fryer is on assignment. We're going to begin our show this morning in the Middle East, which is dealing with the aftermath of yesterday's attack in which thousands of pagers belonging to Hezbollah members in Lebanon and Syria exploded simultaneously. We're going to show you this CCTV footage. It's verified by NBC News. It shows the extraordinary moment a man's bag exploded at a supermarket in the Lebanese capital of Beirut. The man falls to the ground injured and yelling for help. At least 12 people were killed and thousands were left injured in the attack, which has overwhelmed Lebanese hospitals. Hezbollah blames the explosions on Israel and is vowing to retaliate. Israel has so far not commented. However, U.S. officials briefed on the operation told the New York Times and Axios that Israel planted explosives in the pagers. This image, also verified by NBC News, it shows a damaged pager, and you can see the brand of a Taiwanese company. It's called Gold Apollo. The company says it did not manufacture the pagers, but they say they were made by a Hungary-based company that was licensed to use its brand. Well, the attack is another blow to efforts to agree to a ceasefire deal in Gaza, which Secretary of State Antony Blinken is pushing for this morning in Egypt. NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez has the latest for us from Tel Aviv.
Hey there, Hezbollah operatives started using pagers like this because they were worried about Israeli electronic surveillance. They believed this old-fashioned technology potentially more secure than smartphones, but that turned out to be a deadly mistake. At around 3:30 p.m. Beirut time yesterday, these pagers started exploding simultaneously in what Hezbollah says was a massive covert Israeli operation. Lebanon's public health ministry says at least 2,700 people all across the country were wounded, 12 people killed, including 2 children. Now, the Israeli government is refusing to either confirm or deny that it was responsible for what appears to be an attack on an unprecedented scale. But this did come just a couple of hours after Israel said it had foiled a Hezbollah assassination plot. And Israel has also made stopping Hezbollah's attacks on its northern border one of its official war aims. So the pagers that exploded in Lebanon, many of them appear to be made by a Taiwanese company called Apollo Gold. But overnight, that company coming out and saying that the model used in these attacks were actually produced by a Hungarian company that licensed its logos. NBC News contacted that company. They're saying they don't make the pagers themselves. It remains unclear exactly how this attack was carried out, but we spoke to the former director of the CIA who said it appears that Israeli agents somehow got into the supply chain of these pagers, implanting small explosives before allowing them to be delivered into Lebanon. And all of this comes at a time of spiraling tensions between Israel and Hezbollah, which of course is backed by Iran. And there are deep concerns across the region today that this could be the spark that leads to all-out war. Back to you.
All right, Raf, thank you very much. Well, let's dig into this further with national security analyst Clint Watts. Clint, good morning. Let's just start on the aspect of the pager. We just heard Raf there mention that Hezbollah thought that it would be more secure from Israeli surveillance. But why is Hezbollah using pagers in the first place rather than something like a cell phone?
Yeah, that's right. They had gone away from cell phones because they were just worried their communications were being intercepted from person to person. The idea with a pager is that you send a phone number, someone calls on that number. It's very difficult for signals intelligence to track that. That's an interesting move. It really is throwing back 20, 30 years, but that's not surprising in such an intense conflict to move back to a more analog era to try and evade the surveillance of a more technologically advanced foe.
If this was carried out by Israel, as is being widely reported, and some places are even reporting, as I mentioned at the top here, that U.S. officials are confirming that, explain what you think the choreography of this was. How did they implant the explosives and carry out this operation, and these end up in the hands of Hezbollah?
The first step would be them understanding that Hezbollah was going from cell phones to pagers. So that kind of reinforces the point that Israeli intelligence was superior enough that they knew this move was going to happen. Second, it would be trying to get inside the supply chain, as Rob said, get upstream, really, of the acquisition. Once they did that, there's really two ways that a detonation could occur. One would be maybe just using malware to heat it up and try and explode the battery, probably very difficult to do. Instead, getting in, actually putting something in all of these pagers, like a small amount of explosives, and then combining that with actual malware that can detonate it, which is what is most likely the scenario here, to cause such a significant explosion that it would actually go through people, go through material. You saw that with the countertop there. To do that probably requires some amount of explosive being in the device.
Do you think this attack will change how Hezbollah operates? Do you think they'll move now to some other type of system for communication?
Well, it's almost the second layer of disruption of their communication networks. You can think about it. They first have gotten Hezbollah to move away from cell phones, and that hurt their own intelligence. But at the same point, the backup plan for Hezbollah was these pagers, and that's how they were communicating in a way to try and evade surveillance. It does create some sort of disruption in terms of their chain of command and control, I'm sure. And it's going to be interesting to see how Hezbollah can really move to what is a third communications method now. Would they move back to cell phones? Would they move to a different sort of system? If they move to a different system, it would obviously be slower. And it really does slow down the cycles of Hezbollah's ability to control its own organization.
Have you ever seen an attack like this before?
Not on a scale like this, Savannah. What you would see, or what we have heard about, is individual attacks that are by remote control. So a device is exploding because some sort of explosive has been there, and a signal has been used in telecommunications networks. That's something that's occurred in individual cases over probably the last decade or even 2 decades, but never have I seen anything that actually engaged 2,800 different devices simultaneously. That's definitely a new step in terms of escalation.
Clint Wantz, as always, we appreciate your expertise. Thanks for joining us. This morning in New York, music mogul Sean Diddy Combs is in custody after a judge denied bail during his arraignment on Tuesday. Combs was indicted and arrested on federal charges. They include racketeering and sex trafficking. Prosecutors accuse Combs of using his business empire to threaten and abuse women. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas was in the courtroom.
Sean Diddy Combs behind bars, a federal judge denying the music mogul bail following his arrest and indictment, as federal prosecutors allege Combs is dangerous and poses an ongoing threat to the safety of the community. In court, Combs pleading not guilty to 3 federal counts: sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution.
Sean Combs led and participated in criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice.
In an indictment unsealed, federal prosecutors say since 2008, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct.
As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse.
Combs' arrest at a New York City hotel Monday night comes 6 months after federal authorities raided the Grammy winners' homes in Los Angeles and Miami, revealing what they say they found: firearms, including 3 defaced AR-15s in his bedroom closet, and videos of elaborately produced sex performances with multiple victims, known as freak-offs, according to prosecutors.
Freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant.
An attorney for Combs maintaining his client's innocence.
Mr. Combs is a fighter. He's going to fight this to the end. He's innocent.
It's a federal case following a string of civil suits, including one filed last week by a member of the girl group Danity Kane, as well as a settlement with singer Cassie, seen in this 2016 surveillance video being physically attacked by Combs. Cassie later filing a civil suit accusing Combs of raping and physically abusing her. The terms of their 2023 settlement were not disclosed. An attorney for Combs telling a judge that Mr. Combs is not a perfect person. These toxic relationships were mutual, adding, "Is it sex trafficking if everyone wants to be there? We don't want the federal government in our bedroom." But federal prosecutors are leaving the door open for even more arrests, saying Combs did not act alone.
I'm not taking anything off the table.
I was actually just a few feet away from Combs in the courtroom during his arraignment, and he was completely expressionless as the judge denied him bond. Then he was escorted away cooperatively by U.S. Marshals. Now his attorney saying that they plan to appeal this decision. Back to you.
Chloe Malas, thank you very much. Let's bring in NBC News Now legal analyst Angela Sanadella for more on this. Angela, good morning. I'm going to start with the bail just because that's what meant that he spent the night in jail. They had offered up $50 million, kind of backed by one of his homes. Did it surprise you that he wasn't able to go out on bail, or does it make sense that they kept him behind bars?
It does make sense. Look, judges in these cases look at two things. One, how does this impact the actual investigation and the trial? And here the judge said there's no guarantee that this man will actually show up in court if this does go to trial, that he is legitimately a flight risk. Furthermore, the fact that there was allegations of witness tampering involved, even though they weren't in the indictment, that itself could impact the investigation significantly. In addition to that, this is a RICO case, which means that he is allegedly doing criminal behavior by just directing it, not even by being there. So even with an ankle monitor, allegedly, he could still be out doing these things. And the second question is, well, what sort of threat does he still pose to the community if he's out there and not detained? And here the judge said, because a lot of these allegations are for what is happening behind doors, behind closed doors, if we put an ankle monitor on him, there's no guarantee that he's still not going to be committing these alleged crimes. So it makes sense to me that this bail would have been denied here.
You mentioned RICO, the fact he's directing it. So that leads you to, obviously, the next logical step is he's directing other people. And as we just heard there in Chloe's piece, they are leaving the door open for even more arrests. First of all, let's just start with, do you anticipate that that will happen? Based on everything that we know now, based on what you read in this indictment, that there will be more arrests and charges here?
I do anticipate there'll be others. Now, whether or not they'll be arrested or whether or not a plea deal will happen prior to an arrest, that's not clear. But a RICO charge is literally just that. Other people are involved. And it's one of the few charges where you can go after one person for directing the activities of others without directly having committed that alleged criminal activity itself. And here in the indictment, you see multiple references to things like employees, to security guards, to all sorts of people who were doing this on his behalf. Now, if those people are doing illegal activity, they could also be charged. But the question is, can they flip those people into witnesses? Can the government use those to further their investigation? Because in a RICO charge, it's really just about getting the person at the top, and they tend to attempt to flip everyone under the top in order to get the person who's directing it. Because often that person at the top isn't getting their hands dirty. They're not going out using the rifles, using the threats. They are directing others to do it, and this is what the RICO charge is for.
And when you mention plea deal and when you mention flip, essentially people who had knowledge of what was going on, they could, in return for cooperation and testimony, not end up arrested, is what you're saying.
Yes, that's exactly it. And it's not even just people who necessarily knew what is happening, but actually people who have done things and that the government has evidence of bad acts that they have committed. It's those people that the government tends to use in order to flip them, get their cooperation, say we will either dismiss charges and not prosecute you, or we will reduce charges if indeed you do cooperate with us.
I have two last quick questions for you. The first is on the defense side. It seems like we heard a little bit of that there. Chloe played it in her piece, saying a rough draft of this said, if everyone wants to be there, it's sex trafficking. What do you make of what we could see from a defense?
Okay, so there's three different charges. And I think for the first charge of sex trafficking, this is a defense that he will use. And this is where I do question the footage of the freak-offs that allegedly are evidence that the government has. Those could go on both sides, right? If you see consenting adults engaging in this activity, it could possibly be a defense. But that's why the government here brilliantly stacked the other charges. RICO, that doesn't even involve the sex crimes or the alleged assault. That's just him directing the threats of violence and the alleged kidnapping, the arson. So directing other people, it's almost sprawling. So even if they don't get sex trafficking because of consent, they can still do RICO. And then the third is the easiest, which is just interstate transportation for prostitution. If they have any digital records there, flight logs, that's pretty easy for the government to prove.
On the flip side of that, I think when you see a video like the hotel surveillance footage with Cassie, when you hear these charges, it's easy to just think, oh my goodness, well, clearly he did it. But the prosecution has specific things that they do indeed have to prove. And you bring up a good point about the video. Could it flip, actually? Could it be for the other side, show consenting adults? What for you is the one specific thing that the prosecution has to do in order to prove what he had done wrong?
Okay, so the hardest thing for the prosecution here that they have to do is get more witnesses and get more victims. And that is a concern here when there's threats overall. So if it does come down to just the testimony of, for example, one witness or one victim versus Diddy, unfortunately, that can be difficult in front of a jury. But the question here is volume. If they can provide a number of witnesses, a number of victims, look, this is not just one charge of assault. This is sprawling. This is RICO, sex trafficking at scale. Then the government has a really good shot. But we know it's so hard for victims to come forward for many reasons, especially here when the defendant has an alleged history of attacking, assaulting, going after the livelihood of anyone who's willing to go forward. So it's a question of how well the prosecution can convince victims to come forward.
Angela Sanadella, fascinating conversation. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Well, now let's get to the race for the White House. There are just 48 days to go until Election Day. Former President Trump will be in New York for a rally with supporters on Long Island later tonight. Mr. Trump returned to the campaign trail last night in the battleground state of Michigan. That was his first event since last week's apparent assassination attempt. He took part in a town hall. It was hosted by his former White House press secretary and now Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. The former president talked about the incident for the first time.
It's a dangerous business, however, being president. It's a little bit dangerous. It's, you know, they think race car driving is dangerous. No. They think bull riding, that's pretty scary, right? No. This is a dangerous business, and we have to keep it safe.
NBC News correspondent Dasha Burns, she's been following the Trump campaign. She joins us now with the latest. I'm happy to see it looks like you might be home for a quick minute. Dasha, good morning. Good to see you. First, tell us what else he said regarding what happened at his Florida golf course.
Hey, Savannah. Yeah, quick pit stop at home before I'm off on the campaign trail again. And you're right, this was the first time he talked publicly at a campaign event about this incident. He recounted those moments when he first heard those gunshots, which turned out to be from one of his Secret Service agents firing at the alleged gunman. Take a listen.
I have to say, Secret Service did a hell of a job. They really did. One of the agents was walking a couple of holes in front, and he saw a rifle, AK-47. That's serious stuff, right? This was an AK-47. And he saw the barrel of the gun coming out from a bush. Can you believe it? This guy was all set. He was all set to do his number. And there was no talk. He didn't say, hello, what are you doing here, please? And he ends up getting shot himself.
And Savannah, he also recounted his phone calls with both President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris in the aftermath of this, saying that they were gracious, they were very nice phone calls. And in terms of the heated rhetoric we've been talking about lately, pretty toned down at this event last night, Savannah.
So, Tasha, this was in Michigan. It's a state that both Mr. Trump and Vice President Harris are looking to win. Back in 2020, forgive us if you can hear some noise happening in the studio, Joe Biden won the state by nearly 3 points. Donald Trump narrowly won it back in 2016. But then let's conversely flip that to him coming to Long Island, a reliably blue state here in New York for an event tonight. Walk us through the strategies here for these campaign choices.
Right. I mean, the former president is very, very unlikely to win New York. The last Republican who won the state was Ronald Reagan. But look, there are some down ballot races, particularly in this part of New York State, that might be impacted by a visit from former President Trump that are competitive. So in part, he's going there to boost those down ballot candidates. But it does have some Republicans scratching their heads a little bit to spend valuable time in a state that's so reliably blue when we have such a competitive neck and neck race going on right now.
Dasha Burns, thank you so much. We appreciate your reporting on this, and we will see you back out on the trail. Meanwhile, as the former president gets back on the campaign trail, his opponent, Vice President Harris, sat down yesterday for an in-depth interview with members of the National Association of Black Journalists. In that interview, she spoke out for the first time about the Trump campaign repeating false claims about Haitian immigrants in Ohio. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez has our details.
Vice President Harris with her first extensive public comments on the false claims being made about Springfield, Ohio.
It's a crying shame. I mean, my heart breaks for this community.
She says former President Trump and J.D. Vance are amplifying hateful rhetoric that Haitian immigrants are abusing pets, which local officials say is not true.
And I think most people in our country, regardless of their race, are starting to see through this nonsense. When you are bestowed with a microphone that is that big, there is a profound responsibility that comes with that.
Harris speaking to the National Association of Black Journalists, which held a contentious session with former President Trump in July, where he falsely questioned the vice president's racial identity.
I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black.
Harris also responding to criticism from Republicans that she caused the problems she's now vowing to fix.
It's like, Kamala, day one was 1,400 days ago. What the hell have you been doing the whole time? Why don't you stop talking and get to work?
As she was pressed, are Americans better off now than they were 4 years ago?
We had then a lot of work to do to clean up a mess. As of today, we have created over 16 million new jobs. Is the price of groceries still too high? Yes. Do we have more work to do? Yes.
She never directly answered the question yes or no, and also gave an indirect answer when pressed about whether she would continue the Biden administration's policies in Gaza, only saying the war has to end by getting a ceasefire deal done. Back to you.
All right, Gabe, thank you so much. Well, later today, we are finally going to get an answer on how much the Federal Reserve is going to cut interest rates after a run of hikes in an effort to tame inflation. That decision is expected to come down around 2 p.m. this afternoon. It's going to be the first time since March of 2020 that the Fed will cut interest rates now that the skyrocketing inflation of that post-pandemic era has started to cool off. The welcome news comes as drivers across the country are enjoying gas prices that are just dropping, as 16 states now have average prices of less than $3 a gallon. Huge news. Joining us now with more on all of this is our friend, Investopedia editor-in-chief, Caleb Silver. Caleb, great to see you. Good morning. So before we get to today's big decision from the Fed and your countdown clock, let's first just talk about those gas prices. They've been trending down all year, but I mean, that's a steep drop down to below $3, something with a 2 in front of it. That's amazing. Do we expect that to continue?
Well, I'm out in California, and as you know, Savannah, gas prices are nowhere near $3 or more, like $4 to $5. But in general, they've been dropping, and that's very good news for consumers. You wonder why the economy is still growing. Lower gas prices stir consumption. When people see lower gas prices, when they pull out to fill up to begin the week, or small businesses, this is a very big deal. So that is really a sign of demand. Less demand from China, and also OPEC, which does pump a lot of the world's oil, has produced less oil and promises to cut their production cuts. So you have less demand, and that means prices are going to keep lower, and we're driving less than we were a year ago, 2 years ago. All of those things add up to lower gas prices, which means more money in people's pockets, which means more spending, especially on things like going out or taking a vacation.
There you go. All right, now give us the countdown clock. How far away are we from this meeting?
Well, I was just looking 6 hours and 27 minutes, because nobody's counting. I'm really caring about what happens at the meeting and the press conference with the Federal Reserve, which is expected to cut interest rates today. The question is a 1/4 point or a 1/2 point. Up until last week and 2 weeks ago, it looked like a 1/4 point, but the drumbeat has gotten louder for a 1/2 point cut as the labor market is weakening a little bit. The inflation story is pretty much under control. We had the last reading of inflation at 2.5%. That's right in the target zone of where the Fed likes it. But what happens today at 2 and the press conference, what Fed Chair Powell says about future rate cuts, the depth and duration of future rate cuts is super important.
Yeah, Caleb, on that point about is it going to be 25, 50, there's an argument out there that says employment is softening, so now's time for a bigger cut, those 50 basis points. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think if you see a 50 basis point cut or a 1/2 point cut, as we call it here, then you could probably get the sense that the Fed is a little worried that the economy is slowing, and they see that through the labor market. The Fed likes the unemployment rate between 3.5% and 4%. That's full employment. Right now, the unemployment rate, 4.2%, came down a little bit last month, but we're seeing mounting layoffs, especially in the tech sector and in other sectors. The thing we want to pay attention to today is the most boring, yet the most important chart in economics and finance. That's the Fed's dot plot. That is the projections of where voting members of the Fed think interest rates should be the rest of this year, into next year, and the following year. And that chart goes down. There you go, down and to the right. It's so boring. It's so terrible, but it's super important because that shows where the Fed wants rates to be. And if you look into next year, interest rates are going to be somewhere between 4 and 5%. The year after, they're going to be somewhere between 3 and 4%. So for consumers, that means rates are going down. Mortgage rates are going down. We've already seen a big spike in mortgage applications. We've seen a new lows in credit card APRs. Those are coming down. All good news for consumers who borrow.
What did you say? So boring, so terrible. But we're going to pull it up for you and show you those little dots anyway. Caleb, last quick question for you. Does this mean all these little things coming together in the way you're describing? Are we on track for that soft landing?
Yeah, it looks like it in different parts of the economy are doing worse than others, and others are doing better than others. But consumer spending, which drives most of the economic activity in this country, about 67%, that remains strong. So when you see those numbers go down for used cars to borrow, or if you see the APRs come down for credit cards, that's all good news, putting a little bit more money in our pockets or giving us a little bit more money so that we can pay down our debt. All that's super important to watch. And what the Fed says and the tone of Fed Chair Powell's press conference will tell us a lot about the future. So this is a very big day. We've been waiting for it 6 hours now and 35 minutes. And then we're going to be watching for the next one in 45 days, 6 hours and 35.
Caleb Silver, we love it. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon. Well, now let's turn to a check of your forecast. The Carolinas are finally getting some relief this morning after that historic rainfall. There's still some possible showers, though, ahead for several parts of the country. Angie Lassman's here with the latest. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Savannah. I can't put the umbrellas away just yet across parts of the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Yes, we're getting a break for the Carolinas. They need it after the really impressive rainfall they had earlier in the week. Today, though, it's, again, the mid-Atlantic. We've got rain already working into places like Washington, D.C., stretching towards Atlantic City. Notice the big batch of moisture is still kind of sitting offshore. That's associated with an area of low pressure that has developed here and will kind of just sit right offshore as we go through at least the next 2 days. This is going to leave us unsettled. So through the day today, we'll have the chance to see some more of those showers working through. We're not looking at the real high potential for flooding or even severe weather. It's more so just going to be a day where the commute is slower. We've got the rain out there. It'll interrupt those outdoor plans, potentially after school plans as well. And I think the highest rain chances for at least the heavier batches of rain, they're going to be the closer to the coast that you go. So we'll see that through the day today. And then you can see some of that moisture does try to work its way into the coastal areas of New England here as we get into tomorrow. That low will still be spinning offshore, so we'll still have the potential to see that. On top of that, we've got some really strong onshore winds. That's making a difference when it comes to the coastal flooding. So 12 million people right now are under flood advisories or flood alerts. Notice where they're extended right in some of those similar areas. Of course, the Carolinas included in this, but up into the mid-Atlantic as well. I think around high tide time, I'd really want to be mindful of some spots that you oftentimes see flood during these high tide and onshore wind days. So that's where we'll see maybe some flooding across the waterfronts. This will be something you'll have to watch for through the day today. So just a heads up for folks there. Otherwise, rainfall amounts, they're not all that impressive, but they're not nothing. I mean, we've got 1 inch to 2 inches in some of the highest spots. And remember, I said closer to the coast you go is where we'll see likely the higher amounts. So Atlantic City, parts of Massachusetts, that's going to be what we watch through Friday. And then we'll finally start to see this system kind of working its way out. But between now and then, keeping the umbrella handy is going to be a good idea from the mid-Atlantic to the Northeast and eventually into New England, Savannah.
Well, that's wah, 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 wah.
But there's sunshine, you know, Great Lakes.
Yes, I'm happy for you all.
Gulf Coast. I could go on.
Angie, thank you. See you next hour. Coming up, an NBC News exclusive, the crew of Polaris Dawn speaking out for the first time since their historic spacewalk. But they told our Lester Holt about the moment they opened the hatch more than 400 miles above the Earth. First, though, deadly wildfires are ripping through Portugal, how firefighters are working to stop the spread, and why the country's geography could be making that harder. Stay with us. We are back with new details on those wildfires leaving a trail of devastation across Portugal. Look at this. Right now, you're seeing some of the deadly flames swallowing a town in central Portugal. Here's NBC News correspondent Josh Letterman with more on the latest efforts to get this under control.
Out-of-control flames sweeping across Portugal, whipped up by intense winds and scorching heat, engulfing tens of thousands of acres and turning the sky an eerie red. Authorities saying that at least 7 people are dead, including a number of firefighters, among the roughly 5,000 risking their lives to battle the blazes. Dozens of separate fires raging at once, some seen here from satellites in space. This time-lapse video from Madeira showing how quickly the flames grew, continuing to metastasize throughout the night and sending smoke billowing across the mountains as the sun came up the next morning.
The wind is strong, especially in the mountains, and this is a build-up, of course, of many situations, very parameters that combine together and create a cocktail of dangerous conditions.
It's just the latest wildfire crisis to hit Europe this summer, as global warming helped spur flames in Greece and Albania. Portugal now asking its neighbors for help. France, Italy, and Greece all sending firefighting planes and other resources. And water bombers brought in from Spain, trying to soak the blaze into submission. But it's not enough, as locals work hard too. I have no strength left, this woman says. The crisis coming as other parts of Europe are drowning in dramatic flooding following intense rainfall from Storm Boris, killing at least 22 people. Soaking places like Hungary, Poland, and the Czech Republic, with more rain still on the way.
Our thanks to Josh Letterman for that report. Let's turn now to the SpaceX crew that returned back on Earth safely after an ambitious mission to space. NBC's Lester Holt spoke exclusively with the crew of the Polaris Dawn mission just days after traveling farther out into space than any Americans have in the last 50 years. The crew says a new era of space exploration is only just beginning.
The crew of Polaris Dawn brought me along as they retraced the steps that led up to their historic mission, riding to the launch pad.
Oh man, it's good to be back.
An elevator ride to a top floor unlike any other, and climbing the steps of the launch tower. Jared Isaacman is the commander of the all-civilian crew.
What is it like emotionally to stand here where your most recent mission departed from?
This is a very emotional experience. It's an intense experience. It all began here, and to be back at it is, it's very special.
They had an ambitious agenda, raising money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital while conducting 40 research experiments and testing new spacesuits in the first all-civilian spacewalk.
When we opened that hatch, I'd say it was like sensory overload, because it's not just the visual stimulus of seeing Earth right in front of you. There are pressure changes, there are big temperature transients, it gets colder.
Only Isaacman and SpaceX engineer Sarah Gillis ventured outside the hatch, but pilot Scott Petit says they were all in it together.
There's no airlock on this space capsule, so once the hatch is open, you're all essentially in the vacuum of space.
And we all felt these same sensations.
What was it like to look back at Earth, and does it make you more reflective?
Absolutely. I don't know how it can't. The fact that we had such an intense schedule, there was moments that you would be scanning and you'd catch a glance of the Earth, or a sunrise, the dawn, a sunset, and it's so mesmerizing.
Gillis becoming the first person to play the violin in space.
For me, it was such a special moment to see a wooden violin floating in a 21st century spacecraft. I think sharing the music of John Williams from the stars, there's no more perfect a message than that.
How were the acoustics up there?
Really good.
Awesome.
Really?
We had front row seats.
The crew using every moment to push forward and learn, including passing through the Van Allen radiation belt.
There is a radiation belt that goes around our Earth. And so when we went to this higher altitude, we were getting much closer, really kissing the inner portion of that. And so what that means is that we, as well as our spacecraft, were exposed to higher radiation doses. We were taking all sorts of data to be able to learn more through science and research about the human response to that environment.
So you got more than a few X-rays there in terms of exposure. You've still got bandages on your finger. You're still human guinea pigs at this point.
Absolutely. We want to identify some of those challenges associated with long-duration spaceflight.
Do you come back now with more questions, more things you want to know in future flights?
You know, all of that question answering didn't stop when we splashed down. It is imperative that we learn as much as we can from all of this information to make future astronauts' lives better and enable that future where there are thousands of people living in space.
All right, thanks to Lester Holt for that report. How inspiring. Coming up, a story that could add a little pep to your step this morning. We are digging into a new study that says that caffeine kick from your morning coffee could be doing more good than we thought. We will explain up next. Welcome back. It is time for our weekly medical checkup. All right, if coffee is an essential part of your morning routine, we've got some great news about its possible health benefits, plus how laughter could be the best medicine when it comes to dry eyes. From where we are joined by NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel. I'm loving this because I've got dry eyes and I love me some coffee. Obviously on the schedule, it's a necessity. So the thing about coffee, though, is I feel like there's always a new study coming out either with something super great or conversely something super bad. You always hear about people saying, oh, I'm cutting out coffee, as if it's like cutting out sugar or something.
Right.
So what did this new study from Chinese researchers tell us?
All right, so these are researchers who looked at hundreds of thousands of people. These are people who drank nothing, no tea, no coffee, people who drank moderate amounts of tea or coffee. And what's a moderate amount? About 2 to 3 cups, 200 to 300 milligrams a day. And then people who drank more than that. And they looked at them over 12 years, did surveys at the beginning, at the end, and tried to see what association, if any, they had with cardiometabolic diseases. That's things like type 2 diabetes, coronary artery disease, high blood pressure, things that we do worry about. And what they found might bring some coffee lovers like us some great news, that they found a reduction of that kind of risk of getting cardiometabolic diseases if you had about a moderate amount of caffeine, so 2 to 3 cups a day.
Okay.
And that they saw an even higher reduction if you were a pure coffee drinker, but still a reduction even if you were a tea or kind of a mixed tea and coffee drinker. So all in all, good news for coffee drinkers, but there had been some associations of risk at higher levels of caffeine. That's why I think you're hearing these messages like cut this, cut that, because for each person, an amount of coffee might be just a little different. So the doctor's orders here, Savannah, are to really remember that caffeine itself is a drug. That's why we talk about kind of making sure that it fits with other conditions you have, talking to your health professionals if you feel like you don't respond well.
That way.
I think that's why you can just think of caffeine as anything else, like sugar, all of these things that can result in higher or even maybe lower risk, depending on how much you have. And I think moderation can be key with caffeine.
All right, there you go. Good one. Okay, this is exciting. Yesterday, the FDA, explained this one to me, expanded approval basically for this breast cancer drug, that it means it can help more patients, earlier stages, different parts of the disease.
Right. This is a drug called Kisqali, ribociclib. It's made by the drug maker Novartis. It's actually been FDA approved, but for later stage breast cancers. This was a kind of a breakthrough study, though, that led to the recent approval by the FDA to use it earlier stage cancer. So this is a type of cancer, stage 2, stage 3 breast cancer. It's a very common type of breast cancer, and it's something that we generally see in younger patients. And until this drug was approved, we really didn't have a lot of options for patients with early breast cancer. This drug in particular, taken daily for 3 years, was shown to have up to 28% of a risk reduction for death and recurrence of breast cancer, which leads to an almost 5% absolute reduction from risk of dying from an early stage of breast cancer. So all in all, people ask me, like, when are there these kind of big news moments in cancer? This is one of them. So now we have options, and that's the doctor's orders here, that cancer really is a chronic disease and that patients now have options that they didn't have before.
Wow, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, this last one, dry eyes, laughter. A study saying that laughing can be as efficient as eye drops.
All right, so even I had to I read this, Savannah, a couple of times because I do too have dry eyes. 360 million people in the world have dry eyes. We are not alone, and most of us have to use lubricating drops. So again, researchers out of the UK and China looked at hundreds of patients, randomized them to using their drops or using laughter. You may say, what kind of laughter prescription did they have to use? And I'm going to do it here this morning just to get us going, because laughter does sometimes make us cry, but it's a combination. It's repeating the phrase, hee hee hee, ha ha ha, cheek cheek cheek, cheese cheese cheese, hee hee hee, 5 times for 5 minutes, several times, 4 times a day. It did make you laugh. And they actually used facial expressions to see kind of, were you doing it right? Were you really giving it your best to make yourself laugh?
So it's not actually laughing, it's just
it's using phrases that kind of mimic the funniness of it. And indeed, it showed that it can be sometimes just as effective as drops themselves.
I'm not sure that that's something you can like, it's like, oh, I need an eye drop.
Thing. No.
Instead of that, I'm going to take 5 minutes to hee.
But it does reinforce the doctor's orders that laughter is the best medicine, Savannah.
Dr. Kavita Patel, thank you very much. Some good news there today. Well, still to come, she was just 22 years old when she started a website for home service professionals. Now, Angie, formerly Angie's List, has become a household name. Coming up, I'm sitting down with the Angie herself for a brand new edition of Women Mean Business. Stay with us. We're back now with some financial headlines for you this morning. Another UAW strike could be brewing. We've got CNBC's Silvana Hanau with us with that and other money headlines. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. So the UAW, it plans to hold a vote in the coming days to authorize a strike at one or more of its local chapters for Stellantis. That's the parent company of Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep. UAW President Shawn Fain has called out Stellantis CEO in recent months for failing to keep the promises the company agreed to after the union's 6-week strike last fall. Now, auto union strikes, these typically take place during national contract talks every 4 years, so large walkouts outside of that are rare. Tupperware files for bankruptcy as financial losses mount and demand for its once popular food storage containers drops. The company's struggles to stem a slide in sales resumed after a brief surge during the pandemic when people were cooking more at home. The jump in costs of raw materials has further dented Tupperware's margins. And Snap is rolling out an upgraded version of its augmented reality spectacles. The first edition was launched in 2016, but the effort hasn't led to higher sales for Snap, whose business largely relies on selling digital ads. The new glasses can respond to the wearer's hands and voice, and the software powering the device better understands your surroundings to render AR effects. They also automatically tint in sunlight. The Snap spectacles won't initially be sold to consumers and instead will be available for $99 per month to developers to create AR features, Savannah.
All right. Well, that's pretty cool. Silvana, thank you so much.
Sure.
Well, now it's time for our series, Women Mean Business. Today, I am talking to a guest who launched her company at just 22 years old. Now it's a household name. Angie Hicks. She co-founded Angie's List back in 1995. It's now known today simply as Angie. It aims to be a one-stop shop for homeowners to get the help they need with any project, big or small. Well, born and raised in Indiana, Angie's very first job was working the concession stand at the Fort Wayne Children's Zoo. She said she'd never really dreamed of being a business owner growing up because she was shy, so starting her own company felt like a big risk. But her grandfather always told her, you have to learn to say yes when you want to say no. So when a former boss pitched her the opportunity to start a company right after college, she didn't hesitate. Well, now it's been 26 years, and that company says it has helped more than 150 million people. It provides over 500 services, and customers turn to them for help with home projects every second. That proves that Angie Hicks is a woman who means business, and we are so lucky to have Angie here live in studio with us this morning. Angie, thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
I'm so fascinated by your story. I mentioned a little bit there, but I'm hoping that you could tell me, if you can remember how some of these conversations went. So my understanding is you were an intern for this man, Bill, who ends up being your co-founder, but you're an intern for him, financial, venture capital.
Venture capital firm. And I didn't even know what venture capital was at the time. I went to the interview and he's like, so you know what venture capital is? And I was like, you invest in small businesses? I was like, wow, I'm winning here, right, in this interview. So,
but then you got the internship.
Yes.
And then he looks at you, an intern, I'm not sure what his age was at the time, but he's your boss at this venture capital firm. You just come out of college, and he says, hey, instead of being my intern, be my co-founder?
He did, and he's like, your parents are going to hate this idea. I'll raise enough money for us. We raised like $50,000. I'll raise enough money to get it through a year. And, the worst thing that happens is it fails and you have a good essay for business school. I was like, I don't even know if I want to go to business school.
And what did you think of the concept at the time?
He had actually struggled to find home improvement contractors. He bought a fixer-upper in Ohio and just had bad experiences, and we thought there should be a better way to find good contractors. But for me, I didn't know a lot about that. I mean, when I was young, grew up in a middle-class family.
Not needing home improvements.
If we hired a plumber, my dad would hire out plumbers and electricians, basically. Everything else, he, is a do-it-yourselfer. So I was in new chartered territory, but I learned to love it.
Yeah, as someone who just bought a home who needs work, it's very helpful to have it at your fingertips. When you first started also, I mean, just tell us the differences between then and now. Obviously, this is something that people around the country are familiar with. They access it digitally. But you were sort of like keeping these lists by hand.
It was pre-internet days, exactly. So people would call in and I would read to them who they should hire. Like, oh, you need 3 plumbers. Let me read. Here's their phone numbers. Did you get that? You know, our first email address was an AOL account. So I like try to tell people, like, here's what times were like.
Goodness.
I worked on a card table in a little 100-square-foot office. The people in the offices next to me thought my parents had rented me an office to do my homework in.
That's hilarious. Oh, my goodness. And you're like, no, I'm the co-founder.
Exactly. Take me seriously.
Yeah. Home improvements, contracting, construction, often regarded, and the truth is, a male-dominated field.
It is very much.
I mean, it's impressive to be a woman being a founder in that space. It's doubly impressive to be a 22-year-old woman being a founder in that space. What was that like?
It was hard. It was hard. I mean, I would talk to pros, and I remember that, like, helping them kind of step back and kind of realize when they get a complaint that it's going to be okay. Like sometimes, you know, a pro would call and yell at me because someone didn't like the work that was done. And, you know, so probably one of the most common things I end up today having conversations around is how to take feedback. You know, I was like, go get a cup of coffee, think about what they said. If it's something you can fix, go fix it. You know, otherwise take it with a grain of salt because you know, you're going to get a complaint now and then. In fact, I find when you read reviews, if they're all glowing, I question it.
Ooh, I like that. That is a good tip. Before we let you go, we love in this segment, Women Mean Business, to ask the powerhouses who come on the show to tell us a little bit of advice that they wish younger them. And I feel like your story is so ripe for this. You're 22 years old. You're the co-founder of a business in a male-dominated field. What do you wish you knew, or what do you want somebody who's listening right now who maybe wants to start their own business to know?
Don't be afraid of no. Like, that's the start of a conversation. Like, ask for what you want. I think sometimes we're not confident enough and we don't kind of state what we want and we kind of wait for things to come our way. Don't do that. The worst thing they're going to say is no, and you're going to learn from it. So use it as a learning experience. So kind of toughen up about a no, and you'll get a lot further.
There you go. Great advice. Angie of Angie's List. You know it. You love it. In studio live with us. Thank you for coming. We appreciate the conversation. That was so much fun. Coming up, we are diving into an underwater rescue mission. The creative way some researchers are trying to save coral reefs. That's up next. Welcome back. Well, those unbearable heat waves that have been baking parts of the country this summer have not only been making headlines, they've been breaking records. And the sky-high temps are actually threatening a beautiful and vital resource under the ocean surface in Puerto Rico. NBC News correspondent Maura Barrett introduces us to the scientists working to change that.
Coral reefs are essential for fisheries, tourism, not to mention protecting against coastal erosion and storms. They also help develop life-saving treatments for leukemia and other diseases, but they're under threat. So I went on a research dive to see what's being done to help. It's 6 a.m. off the coast of Puerto Rico, and Dr. Stacey Williams is on a rescue mission, preparing her scuba gear and plenty of waterproof bags before she and fellow scientist Katie Flynn dive in to save precious baby sea urchins called diadema. My producer Jackie and I secured our cameras.
We're ready to go see some diadema.
And dove in right behind them. Their mission, clipping these lines of squares of astroturf-esque material where hard-to-see tiny baby urchins hide, clinging on for their literal life in this underwater science lab.
So they're not able to either settle or survive settlements. The really tiny babies are eaten.
Swimming along underwater with them, and a surprise barracuda, it's easy to tell why. With bags stuffed full, we resurface. The water, almost uncomfortably warm, was impossible to ignore. And that's the problem. Not just here. Sea surface temperatures around the world are breaking records nearly every day. The North Atlantic, for example, is currently on average warmer than any other time on record. That rippling underwater heat places stress on these colorful colonies, robbing them of their trademark color and places them at risk of dying off. We just got out of the water and it's hot today. The water itself is 86 degrees, just a few degrees more, and that's when coral enter enters the risk zone for bleaching. On top of the bleaching risk, toxic algae thrives in warm water, threatening the coral even more. But Easter Caribe's research shows that these urchins are nature's own cleaners for the coral.
They're like the goats or the cows of the sea. We've seen a significant reduction in both fleshy, bushy, seaweed to encrusting seaweed that can actually overgrow and kill live coral tissue.
Her team rushes the tick-sized baby urchins to their one-of-a-kind land-based nursery.
Is everything alive and looking well?
Here, they're nurtured in tubs set up like bunk beds, alongside faded and bleached coral fragments in need of recovery.
When they lose that color, they basically lose most of their nutrient intake. The skeleton becomes weak and it becomes much more susceptible to disease.
It sounds like this lab operates mainly as a nursery, but also as a rehab center.
I like to call this like a very fancy hotel, so we make sure we come here and they're in the best conditions they can be in.
A lot of scientists all over the world are experimenting, making corals that are more resilient, more resistant.
Their research in Puerto Rico is unique when it comes to materials.
Living on an island, we are constrained to what is available and also our budgets.
Forks for maneuvering the urchins carefully, a turkey baster to keep their coral hydrated, and livestock troughs for tubs.
Our nurseries are actually on solar, and we need to keep these animals alive. We've come up with ways to use these materials because running these type of facilities is very expensive.
Once both the urchins and coral have grown a bit and are healthy, they're ready to go back into the ocean. We helped the urchins nestle into their new homes and saw the researchers' success firsthand. Replanted corals settling into the reef, and full-grown adult diadema urchins effectively keeping them clean. Their strength working together showcased underwater to protect life on shore. As someone who's an avid scuba diver with deep respect for everything that lives in the ocean, this was such a fascinating assignment. The other thing I found intriguing, these researchers in Puerto Rico have developed a consortium to help inspire and map out blueprints to help other marine labs around the country. Back to you.
All right, Maura Barrett, thank you so much. What a fascinating report, and cool that you're a scuba diver. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now, but the news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks so much for being here on a Wednesday. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe's on assignment this morning. Right now on Morning News Now, battleground blitz. Former President Trump back on the campaign trail in Michigan following that apparent assassination attempt.
Dangerous business, however, being president. To say Secret Service did a hell of a job.
But there are new concerns on Capitol Hill this morning over how the Secret Service protects our political leaders. We're covering it all as Vice President Harris touts her plan for America's economic future, all with less than 50 days until the election. And in the Middle East this morning, a deadly escalation after pagers used by members of militant group Hezbollah in Lebanon exploded across the country simultaneously yesterday, killing at least 12 people and wounding thousands more. But where did the pagers come from and who was behind the blast? We've got the latest reporting up next. Back home, Sean Diddy Combs remains behind bars this morning after a federal judge denied the hip-hop mogul bail. He's pleading not guilty to charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. The shocking allegations revealed in court documents that are rattling the music industry. Plus, inflation back in the spotlight this morning as the Federal Reserve weighs whether to slash interest rates later today for the first time since the pandemic. It's a key decision that could impact your fall finances. We're watching your wallet in just a moment. Thanks again for joining us. We're halfway through the week. We begin this hour with the race for the White House with less than 7 weeks now until Election Day. The candidates are spending this week visiting battleground states expected to play a big role in the election. Former President Trump returned to the campaign trail for the first time yesterday since last week's apparent assassination attempt at his Florida golf course. Meanwhile, Vice President Harris opens up about Mr. Trump's comments regarding Ohio immigrants during a panel with black journalists. NBC's Garrett Hake has the latest on the campaigns.
At that event here in Michigan last night, Donald Trump mostly played down the apparent attack on his life, cracking jokes about it and focusing his remarks on the economy instead. The truth is he's running out of time to flip this state, which will also play host on Thursday to a live streaming event with Kamala Harris and Oprah.
With less than 7 weeks until Election Day, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are speaking to voters in critical battlegrounds. Former President Trump stumping in Michigan, his first public appearance since the Secret Service stopped a man with an assault rifle at his Florida golf course.
It's a dangerous business, however, being president.
Mr. Trump acknowledging the foiled apparent plot against him, coming just 2 months after a would-be assassin wounded him at a rally in Pennsylvania.
Only consequential presidents get shot at.
The former president also thanking Vice President Harris for reaching out.
I got a very nice call from Kamala. No, it was very nice. It was very nice. It was very, very nice, and we appreciate that.
I told him what I have said publicly. There's no place for political violence in our country.
Kamala Harris appearing in Philadelphia for an event with the National Association of Black Journalists. That event in stark contrast to one Mr. Trump held with the group earlier this summer, when he suggested Harris had suddenly, quote, become black.
I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black.
Harris, who is black and South Asian, telling the panel she doesn't assume her ethnicity will help her with voters.
Black men are like any other voting group. You got to earn their vote.
It all comes as some Trump allies on Capitol Hill are pushing for more protection for the former president.
He's the most threatened person on the planet. He has to have the protection that he needs.
Meanwhile, another Trump ally, Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, taking an apparent swipe at Kamala Harris for not having children.
My kids keep me humble. Unfortunately, Kamala Harris doesn't have anything keeping her humble.
Kirsten Emhoff, the ex-wife of second gentleman Doug Emhoff, defending the vice president on social media, writing, quote, Kamala Harris has spent her entire career working for the people, all families. That keeps you pretty humble. House Republican leaders say a vote could come as early as this week on a measure that would increase Secret Service protection for candidates like Donald Trump to the same level as the President of the United States. But the acting Secret Service director has been clear. He needs more than just more money from Congress. He needs time and the ability to hire and train more agents, something that may be very difficult to do in the heat of the final weeks of this presidential campaign.
All right, Garrett, thank you very much. Well, now let's head to Capitol Hill, where the House of Representatives is expected to vote today on a 6-month stopgap funding bill in an effort to avoid a potential government shutdown ahead of the election. NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin joins us with the latest. Julie, good morning. So what's included in this particular piece of legislation? What are the chances it's passing?
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Yeah, well, the chances of it passing are pretty much close to zero. Even House Republicans have taken to social media blasting this plan. Of course, Speaker Johnson has been working all across the weekend, the past couple of days, on the phone with members, trying to convince them to at least work with him on passing this bill. It's a 6-month continuing resolution. It would fund the government until March. This is apparently in an effort, just in case the former president wins, they want the option of being able to fund the government with less money for domestic programs, for example, in case Trump takes the White House. This is a plan that is a non-starter in the Democratic-controlled Senate, but Johnson is going to have a really hard time getting those votes. It's because a lot of his members are against any continuing resolutions. They don't like them no matter what they're packaged with. Even in this case, with Johnson attempting to add a sweetener to this deal, it's called the SAVE Act. It would require states to obtain proof of citizenship in person in order for people to be able to register to vote. Some Republicans I talked to say it's just too late to make that happen. So again, this vote today expected to fail, Savannah.
Julie, with less than 2 weeks to go until the October 1st deadline to agree on a spending bill, we're also hearing from other congressional leaders, including Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. What are his concerns?
Yeah, I mean, we've been here before. You and I have talked several times this year. People are afraid of another potential government shutdown. We've been on the brink of this. It would be absolutely devastating for millions of Americans who rely on the government, who work for the government. So McConnell, who of course is the top Republican in the Senate yesterday, had some very strong words for any Republican who thinks a government shutdown is a good idea just a couple of weeks away from the election. Watch this.
I think we first have to wait and see what the House sends us. My only observation about this whole discussion is the one thing you cannot have is a government shutdown. It would be politically beyond stupid for us to do that right before the election, because certainly we'd get the blame.
So So, Savannah, nobody wants a shutdown, not in the Senate, not in the House, this close to the election. What's going to happen is if this bill fails today, in the House, you're going to have a bipartisan group of senators and House members try to keep the government open till the end of the year.
All right, Julie, we know you will stay on it for us. Thank you so much. Well, now let's get to the latest on the economy. The Federal Reserve's committee that decides interest rates meeting today. They are expected to cut interest rates. We don't know how much, maybe by as much as 0.5%. If that happens, this will be the Fed's first interest rate cut since March of 2020, of course, during the pandemic. For more on what to expect at today's meeting, let's bring in NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans, who I am going to put on the spot and ask what she thinks is going to happen. But let's start with, we know inflation's been falling, but we are still noticing prices going up. I mean, you've been talking to voters, I've been talking to voters, everybody talks about the grocery store. How does that impact today's decision?
Yeah, inflation was a really big problem in this economy, and that's why the Fed was so aggressively raising interest rates. Look what happened to inflation. It got all the way up to 9%, more than 9%, and that's why the Fed started jacking up interest rates. Look at that. They were basically zero, jacked up interest rates. So as inflation has come down, these rates have stayed very, very high here. So the idea here is the Fed can now start to lower interest rates as that inflation number starts to go down. And you're right, there's a huge debate on whether it's going to be 25 or 50 basis points, a quarter of a percentage point or half a percentage point. You want to put me on the spot? Are you putting me on the spot?
Yes, I am. Tell me.
Well, a lot of people think that it could be just a quarter of a basis.
Is a lot of people you?
A lot of people is me, because Jay Powell doesn't like to surprise anyone. And the last time we saw a 50 basis point rate cut, you do that when it's a financial crisis or a terrorist attack or a war. And the economy overall is still pretty good. So some people think the Fed will cut 25 basis points and have a very strongly worded statement saying a lot more rate cuts are coming.
Okay.
Some people say we think they should do 50 basis points to really get this rate cutting cycle underway. It's a total toss up, which makes this afternoon so exciting.
I'm like so exciting. I love how nerdy you are in the best way. I mean that as the biggest compliment because I love it too. And I was just going to say I love how we hang on every word. It's like this nerdy game of being a psychic, and we are wondering exactly what he's going to say. It's so awesome. Let's talk about the employment, how employment plays into this decision, because job numbers are getting back to pre-pandemic levels, but there have been a few recent upticks in unemployment. Yeah. Is that cause for concern, and what does that mixed messaging mean about a soft landing?
Well, you're so right about the numbers, because it is a lot of numbers, but these numbers equal jobs, right? And they equal, your pocketbook and your budget. So we have seen the unemployment rate remain consistently low, very recently starting to tick up, but still at rather low levels. And what the idea here is that the Fed wants to start cutting interest rates before, now several years of high interest rates start to really hurt the job market. So they want to preserve the job market, but kill inflation at the same time, the so-called soft landing, and that's really hard to achieve.
How far could rates for mortgages, auto loans, credit card debt come down after that rate cut? What are people going to maybe feel, and when?
So this is before, right when the pandemic was striking. I mean, look, you had home loans at 3.5%. I mean, right? Car loans 5.2%. Credit card interest rates, which are always terrible. Look at where they are today. So the idea of the Fed cutting interest rates would be these numbers would start to come down. You can see mortgage rates have already been falling in anticipation of the Fed cutting rates. They'll likely continue to fall. A lot of really smart people I know say you're going to have a 5 number there sometime maybe early next year, or even late this year. So for those people who are looking to buy a home, if you can find one in this tight housing market, or trying to refinance more likely, if you've recently bought, that's going to be the first place you're going to see the effects of lower interest rates.
So how bad did things get? Do you have numbers for, because we talk so much about how, I just set it up a second ago, how expensive it is to go to the grocery store. We know gas prices are falling, which is great. So tell us about what we saw in the improvements.
I mean, when you look at the vibe session, people feeling terrible about the economy, this is why. You had housing inflation 8%. Gas prices at the worst were up 41% over the past year. Food prices. Now look at how that has stabilized. You still have what they call it sticky inflation in housing, but housing is still too high. A lot of people for months have thought that was going to start to ease. This is a real bright spot. I mean, a lot of experts tell me you're going to have nationwide gas prices below $3 by Thanksgiving, and food prices have moderated. So that's where. And one last thing I wanted to show you, Savannah, because this is so interesting. The only place that didn't have a lot of ups and downs in terms of a number of movements in the past few years, the stock market. The stock market has done well. It has managed Corporations have managed through COVID, managed through the recovery, and you've got stocks sitting here near record highs again.
Yeah, and all you got to do is just not look at those points when it's really down, especially at your 401k.
Yeah.
Christine Romans, thank you very much. We're excited for you. Big day. We'll catch up with you, I'm sure, tomorrow. Well, in the Middle East this morning, there are fears of new escalation in violence after yesterday's exploding pagers attack on Hezbollah members in Lebanon and Syria. At least 12 people were killed and thousands were left injured. The militant group blames the attack on Israel, which is not commented. However, U.S. officials briefed on the operation told the New York Times and Axios that Israel planted explosives in those pagers. NBC News International correspondent Raf Sanchez has the latest.
Hey there. Hezbollah started using pagers like this because they were worried about Israeli electronic surveillance. They thought this old-fashioned technology was potentially more secure than smartphones, but that turned out to be a deadly mistake as those pagers started detonating yesterday in an enormous chain of explosions.
This morning, a vast coordinated attack, and new details emerging on what Hezbollah says was an Israeli covert operation to turn its members' pagers into bombs. The Iranian-backed militant group says large numbers of pagers detonated simultaneously across Lebanon yesterday. The blasts wounding nearly 3,000 people, including the Iranian ambassador, according to Lebanese authorities, and at least 12 dead, among them several children. Explosions like this going off as Hezbollah members went about their day. Israel refusing to say if it was responsible, but this week said halting Hezbollah's attacks on its northern border is now an official war aim and vowing to step up strikes. The New York Times reporting Israeli agents planted explosives in each pager, along with a remote trigger switch, according to two officials briefed. Two sources tell the Times the pagers received messages that seemed to be from Hezbollah leadership, but instead activated the explosives. Those details not verified by NBC News, but the former head of the CIA weighing in.
What immediately came to mind was that the Israelis were able to compromise the supply chain of Hezbollah.
Have you ever seen anything on this scale before?
No, I haven't.
The pagers bore the branding of Taiwanese company Gold Apollo. But overnight, the firm says that model is made by a company in Hungary, which licenses its logo. And with Hezbollah now vowing revenge, fears of escalation spiraling towards all-out regional war.
And analysts and former intelligence officials tell us that if this was Israel, one of its strategic goals may have been to incapacitate Hezbollah, to wound a large number of its fighters and its leaders, and to literally blow up its communications network. But another goal may have been about sending a message that Israel is capable of carrying out an operation like this at this scale inside Hezbollah territory. And the question now is whether this causes Hezbollah to back down or whether it provokes it into all-out war. Back to you.
Raf Sanchez, thank you very much. Well, let's turn now to the latest on the embattled music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, who remains behind bars this morning after a judge denied him bail yesterday. A 3-count federal indictment accuses Combs of charges including sex trafficking and racketeering. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas has been following this for us. Breaking news on this. You were also in court yesterday. She has the latest. Good morning.
Yeah, hey there. I was just a few feet away with him. And after a federal judge denied the music producer's request to post a $50 million bail, the judge siding with the prosecutors who argued that Combs is dangerous and that he poses an ongoing threat to the community. And authorities say additional charges have not yet been ruled out. Federal prosecutors say hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs used his power and business empire to carry out a long and shocking list of crimes for years, from sex trafficking and forced labor to kidnapping, bribery, and obstruction of justice.
Between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct.
Combs greeting fans in New York a day before his arrest and 6 months after federal authorities raided his homes in L.A. and Miami. In a 14-page indictment, prosecutors say agents found multiple firearms during those raids, including 3 defaced AR-15 rifles. They also uncovered videos of elaborately produced sex performances with multiple victims that Combs allegedly referred to as freak-offs.
The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant.
While searching Combs's residences in March, according to the indictment, law enforcement seized narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all of the charges. Overnight, his attorney saying he doesn't believe Combs will take a plea deal.
I do not see it happening. He's innocent, and he is going to go to trial, and I believe he's going to win.
The criminal charges follow a string of civil lawsuits, including a settlement with Combs's longtime girlfriend, singer Cassie. She can be seen in this 2016 surveillance video, being thrown to the ground and physically attacked by Combs. Prosecutors say Cassie was attempting to escape from one of Combs's freak-offs. Combs later apologizing for his actions caught on video. His attorney arguing Diddy's toxic relationship with Cassie was consensual.
This was a 10-year relationship. There's no coercion. There's no crime.
With 3 of Diddy's sons and other family members in court to support him, the 54-year-old appeared solemn as prosecutors argued against bail, saying he has a history of witness tampering, threats, and physical violence.
Combs's attorneys are saying that they will appeal this decision to deny bail. There's actually a hearing later this afternoon. And while federal prosecutors say the investigation is ongoing, they are leaving the door open for possibly even more arrests.
Yeah, we certainly might see that. Chloe, we know you will stay on it for us. As I said, breaking a lot of news here. Thank you so much. Well, now let's get you to your weather. This morning, we're following the latest cleanup efforts across the Carolinas after that historic downpour. The nameless tropical storm left behind more than a foot of rain in some places, and it qualifies technically as a 1-in-1,000-year rain event. Let's bring in Angie Lastman for more on some other storms that will be making headlines. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. We've got the rain that has now moved into parts of the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, and eventually New England will all be involved in this as we have an area of low pressure developing offshore. Here's what we've got this morning, though. Driving through a little bit of that wet weather in Washington, D.C. We've got closer to the coast, places like Atlantic City also dealing with that rain. The big batch of moisture is still sitting offshore, but we'll see that eventually start to slide in. And as the day goes on, you'll still need the umbrella across this region. You can see this is all the way into this evening. We'll see some of those showers being produced by this coastal low as it spins offshore. I think the heaviest rain chances closer to the coast will be elevated, but still, again, the rain chances are going to be out there across this region. By tomorrow, Boston and Nantucket, Montauk all included in where we'll see some of that heavier rain too as the system just sits offshore. Now, we have some onshore winds associated with the system, so that means that we have the potential for some coastal flooding. These advisories have been increased throughout the day, including more people. We've got 12 million people now included, Norfolk included in that, Wilmington, Charleston. What I want you to watch for, the high tide times in your cities, especially closer to the coast. Those waterfronts could deal with some flooding concerns with those really strong onshore winds, and this will be something we see through the day today, potentially up to a foot of inundation in this area. On top of that, the rain, not all that impressive. We got maybe a half an inch in some spots, but still, it'll be kind of just a soggy day for you, leaving us with some slower commutes and, of course, interrupted outdoor plans. Meanwhile, the temperatures, boy, they are running way warm for this time of year. We've been dealing with these kind of above normal temperatures across much of the Great Lakes, the Midwest, the Plains for days and days, and today is no different. Minneapolis heads to 87 degrees. We're nearly 20 degrees above normal for where we should be in Minneapolis this time of year. Similar story as we look to Chicago into the high 80s. It does not feel like fall in Kansas City with an 89-degree high temperature expected today. Low 90s from Lubbock to Tulsa, and even up into parts of the interior Northeast. We've got Albany ending up into those low 80s. So temperatures are running warmer than normal. This stays with us tomorrow. And then finally, Savannah, we'll start to see things kind of winding back down to more typical temperatures as we wrap up our upcoming weekend and head into next week.
All right, Angie Lastman, a lot going on. There's always a lot going on. What am I saying? Thanks, Angie. Much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including a royal return. Princess Kate is heading back to work this morning after finishing chemotherapy treatment for cancer. We've got the latest on her condition and what's on her agenda. First, though, after the break, a Florida sheriff's controversial strategy for cracking down on fake school shooting threats. Those stories and more up next. We are back with a Florida sheriff making a bold move in an attempt to crack down on school shooting hoaxes. The Volusia County Sheriff posted an 11-year-old's mugshot and perp walk on Facebook after he allegedly threatened a mass shooting. That sheriff now says he wants to send a message to both students and their parents. NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro has more.
An 11-year-old in handcuffs paraded into a Florida jail cell.
The video shared publicly on social media by the county sheriff in an effort, he says, to send a message about school shooting hoaxes.
You don't stand up on an airplane and yell hijack. You don't walk into a movie theater and yell fire. And you don't get online and post that you're going to shoot up a school.
Slow and steady. What you here for today?
The video begins with the boy being led from a Volusia County deputy's vehicle, his hands cuffed behind his back. We've blurred the boy's face because he's a minor.
Follow this deputy here. Right this way, young man.
He's led into a secure facility where an official puts shackles on each of his ankles before walking him into an empty jail cell.
Have a seat in the cell. We're going to gather up some paperwork and get things started for you. Do you have any questions? No, sir. All right.
Sheriff Chitwood says the middle school student is accused of showing these weapons, including knives, swords, airsoft rifles, and fake ammunition to other students on FaceTime and allegedly writing out a list of names and targets. The boy allegedly telling deputies it was all a joke. The sheriff adding he publicly shared video showing the boy's face and his mugshot because the student has been charged with a felony, making a written threat of a mass shooting, warning other students and parents that threats, real or fake, will not be tolerated.
Your little cherub, we're going to start publishing his face and doing perp walks with him when we take him into custody. And then we're going to show pictures of you, the parents. Because you don't want to raise your kid, Sheriff Chitwood's going to raise them.
Chitwood says 54 tips have come in about shooting threats. All of them were deemed bogus, adding that this particular hoax cost more than $20,000 in resource response. Law enforcement officials across Florida have been tracking numerous threats since the school year began. In Broward County, officials said they have already arrested 9 students, ages 11 to 15, for making threats since August.
You think it's a joke, you're going to find your ass in handcuffs?
Sheriff Chitwood's video drawing more than 1,000 comments online, many calling on the boys' parents to be held accountable. NBC News has reached out to the family but have not heard back. Other parents at the boys' school speaking to the local NBC affiliate in Orlando.
It makes you not want to send your kids to school. It really does.
You don't know what's going on with the parents. You don't know what's going on with the people around them. And it's horrible. It's so sad.
The tactic, perhaps unconventional, but the sheriff not backing down from his own threats.
Parents, get your kids in line or your checkbook's going to hurt and your pride's going to hurt. I promise.
Our thanks to Valerie Castro for that report. Well, the county sheriff said that there have been at least 54 shooting tips recently and that investigators have been, quote, running around the clock to look into all those tips, all of which turned out to be false. Now let's take a look at what is making headlines abroad. North Korea fired short-range ballistic missiles for a second time in a week. Claudio Lavanga is with us with more. Hey, Claudio, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. That's right. Japan and South Korea said that early this morning, North Korea fired several short-range ballistic missiles toward its east coast. Now, South Korea's Joint Chief of Staff said that the missiles lifted off north of the capital, Pyongyang, and flew about 250 miles without specifying how many were launched and where they landed. The new launch comes days after North Korea unveiled a uranium enrichment facility and vowed to beef up its nuclear arsenal. Let's go now to Georgia, where on Tuesday, lawmakers approved a law that will impose sweeping curbs on LGBTQ rights. The law lays the ground for authorities to outlaw public displays of LGBTQ rainbow flags and pride-related events and impose censorship of films and books on the subject. The move has been heavily criticized by LGBTQ activists who accuse the government of trying to appease the conservatives ahead of the parliamentary elections at the end of October. The director of the campaign group Tbilisi Pride, Tamara Jakeli, told Reuters the law is the most terrible thing to happen to the LGBTQ community in Georgia and that as a consequence our group may be forced to close down. And let's end this tour of the world in Brazil, where following the worst drought ever recorded, the water level in the Amazon rivers are at a historic lows. Reuters is reporting that one of the main tributaries of the Amazon River, the Solimões, has fallen to its lowest level on records, while the Tefe, a branch of the Solimões, has dried out completely. Brazil's National Center for Monitoring and Early Warning of Natural Disasters says this is the most intense and widespread drought the country has experienced since records began in the 1950s.
Wow.
Savannah?
Claudio Lavanga, thank you so much. Well, this morning, a positive update for the royal family. Just days after announcing she had concluded chemotherapy, Princess Kate has returned to work. She's attending a key meeting at Windsor Castle. NBC's international correspondent Kelly Kobaya joins us from outside Buckingham Palace with the latest here. Kelly, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Princess Kate is one of, if not the most popular member of the royal family, and the public is eager to see her back out in front of the public. That wasn't the case yesterday, but it is a very good sign, a key sign that she is taking steps toward her comeback.
Princess Kate returning to royal duties 9 months after her cancer diagnosis. The future queen meeting with her royal foundation at Windsor Castle on Tuesday as she slowly gets back to work.
My path to healing and full recovery is long, and I must continue to take each day as it comes. I am, however, looking forward to being back at work and undertaking a few more public engagements in the coming months when I can.
Just last week, the Princess of Wales announced in an emotional message that she had completed her chemotherapy treatment.
Doing what I can to stay cancer-free is now my focus.
The deeply personal video also providing a never-before-seen glimpse into her private life with Prince William and their 3 children. Kate speaking candidly about just how tough this time has been.
The cancer journey is complex, scary, and unpredictable for everyone, especially those closest to you.
The 42-year-old royal revealed her diagnosis in March, just weeks after her father-in-law, King Charles, announced his own cancer battle. She was not seen in public until June to celebrate the king's birthday and appeared at Wimbledon in July, cheered on by an adoring crowd. This week, a more private engagement. According to the court circular, the official record of the royal family, she took part in a meeting for her Early Years campaign, which focuses on the importance of early childhood, a cause that has become a large part of her life's work.
We know that her early years work is the thing she treasures most professionally. So I think it's very significant and appropriate that her first foray back into working life in a real sense has been to do this meeting.
So the big question, when will she return to those front-facing duties, appearing in front of the camera, meeting with members of the public again? Well, Kensington Palace hasn't yet confirmed any of those dates. She's still very much focused on her recovery with a limited work schedule. But there are a couple of dates coming up in the next few months. One is Remembrance Day, the big day here for veterans. She may attend that ceremony if she's feeling up to it. Likewise, her Christmas carols service, which is something, Savannah, that she has spearheaded, something that she cares a lot about, and she's appeared at those services for several years now. So keep an eye on those 2 dates moving forward. Savannah.
All right, Kelly, thank you so much. Some good news there. Coming up, some scary moments in the skies for passengers on a Delta flight over the weekend, with some even complaining of bloody noses and ears shortly after takeoff. What the airline now says was to blame for that rough ride. It's up next. We are back with new details about a Delta Airlines flight that was forced to make an emergency landing just minutes after takeoff. The plane's cabin failed to properly pressurize, causing injuries to nearly a dozen passengers. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello joins us now for more on what happened. Hey, Tom, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, this was on Sunday, a flight from Salt Lake City to Portland. 10,000 feet is the key number here. Once you're above 10,000 feet, if you don't have pressurization, people will start feeling the effects. This happens about a half dozen times a year, but what's very rare is for people to start bleeding from the ears. This morning, new details of the terrifying moments 140 passengers faced just minutes after takeoff on a flight from Salt Lake City to Portland on Sunday.
Sending below 10,000 for a cabin altitude warning. Delta 12-3, we're declared emergency.
The Boeing 737-900 forced to make an emergency landing back in Salt Lake. The problem, Delta tells NBC News the aircraft was unable to pressurize above 10,000 feet. One passenger speaking out to our affiliate KSL TV.
It felt like somebody was stabbing me in the ear.
Passengers say they knew something was wrong, but the oxygen masks did not deploy.
The plane would go higher and then it would drop down. And then it would go higher and it kind of dropped down. And you could tell something
wasn't right, but they weren't saying anything.
Some on board began bleeding from their ears and noses.
I grabbed my ear and I pulled my hand back and there was blood on it.
A gentleman about a row in front of me to the side, he said, "Can I get a tissue?" And I looked out over at him and there's blood coming out of his ear, running down his face. And it's like, man, this is not good.
The plane circled over the Great Salt Lake before making that emergency landing, with medical teams treating 10 passengers on the ground. At least one says she's still recovering from a ruptured eardrum.
It sounds like I'm underwater when I talk.
In a statement to NBC News, Delta says it sincerely apologizes to its customers for the experience, adding the flight crew followed procedures and supported passengers with their immediate needs. Veteran pilot John Cox says events like this are uncommon, but he believes the pilots handled the situation properly.
When you prioritize an event like this, it is not normal. And so we want to deal with it, but it's also not a full-blown emergency. Up to the point that you realize you have passenger injuries, and at that point, now I want priority handling back to the airport.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Tom, thank you for bringing us the latest installment of Nightmares in the Air. How does something like this even happen, Tom?
Well, you know, I think it is important to note this only happens about half a dozen times, and hardly ever do people start bleeding from the ears. But how it can happen, you know, we're all familiar with where that door plug blowout, right? That was a major decompression event. But it can be much more subtle. It can be seals around windows or doors that aren't properly sealed. It could be a valve or even a switch, a valve in the bathroom, I mean to say, or a switch in the cockpit. So the FAA and Delta Airlines will look at all of that to determine. But as I mentioned, 10,000 feet, that critical number, and airlines are pressurized to be at about 8,000 feet or under for the passengers' convenience and comfort.
Oh, all right, Tom, some troubling details there for sure. Thank you very much. We've got a closer look at a breast cancer drug that will now be available to tens of thousands of patients. The FDA recently expanded its approval of Kisqali, which can reduce the risk of a patient's cancer coming back by 25% after 3 years when combined with standard treatments. NBC News correspondent Kathy Park spoke to one woman who says it saved her life.
At 36 years old, Nikki Odom began the fight of her life.
It wasn't a lump, it wasn't a bump. I just thought, okay, something is off.
It was ultimately diagnosed as breast cancer, setting off a grueling treatment plan of surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation.
What motivated you to keep going and fighting? My kids, my life, my husband. I wanted to be here.
Doctors told her about a clinical trial for a drug approved 7 years ago, but now being tested to prevent recurrence in early breast cancer cases like hers.
It was a no-brainer for me. I was like, game on, let's do it.
That drug, Kisqali, received expanded FDA approval for the most common form of early breast cancer, defined as disease that has not spread beyond the breast and lymph nodes.
This is a huge number of patients who could potentially get this drug.
Kisqali is a daily pill taken for 3 years that works by stopping new cancer cells from growing. It's promising news, especially for those diagnosed under the age of 45, who make up roughly 10% of all new cases.
They have more aggressive disease. These may be the exact patients that Kisqali would be really helpful for. And they have a long time to live, so we really do want to minimize their risk of recurrence.
6 years later, Nikki is cancer-free.
Going through something like this, you really aren't alone. You have so much support around you. You just have to embrace it.
Kathy Park, NBC News, Nashville.
Coming up, a copyright lawsuit that's shaken up the music industry. After the break, why Miley Cyrus is being sued over one of her biggest hits and its alleged connection to a Bruno Mars track from back in 2013. We're going to dig into the fine print. That's up next. Welcome back. A Chinese-American family is paying forward the kindness they received more than 80 years ago from a black couple with a very special donation. NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson has the story.
A historical homecoming.
Hello. We've been waiting to meet you.
At the very heart of the American dream.
There used to be a hallway.
This small Southern California house, home to just 2 families over the last century.
My brother and I both lived in that room.
For a long time, it belonged to the Dongs. But before that, the Thompsons, their great-grandchildren, visiting for the first time.
It was quite emotional.
to be in the house.
Great-grandfather Gus Thompson was born into slavery, enduring the Jim Crow South for decades before moving west, buying this property with his wife Emma. A pioneer at a time when the state's black population was less than 1%. In 1939, the Thompsons rented the house to the Dongs, one they eventually bought, an act that defied a legacy of exclusionary housing practices, forging a timeless bond between a black and Chinese American family.
The Thompsons gave my parents the ability to make the American dream a house and a safe place to live.
Now, decades later, the Dongs are passing that dream on, selling the home and donating $5 million to the Black Resource Center at nearby San Diego State University, all in the name of Gus and Emma Thompson.
I think the world is ready for more of the Thompson Dong spirit.
One home, two families, a dream made real just by doing the right thing. Steve Patterson, NBC News.
Incredible story. Steve, thank you very much for that. Well, now let's get to what's making financial headlines. Amazon is headed to court over its prices. CNBC's Savannah Hanau joins us with that and more. Savannah, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. So Amazon is facing a class action lawsuit accusing the company of misleading price practices. The suit claims Amazon deceived shoppers by showing inflated list prices for Fire TVs, making discounts seem bigger than they actually were. It also alleges Amazon tricked customers into buying the TVs by omitting critical information about the length of a sale and when the list price was actually in use, which led people to spending more than they otherwise would have. An Amazon spokesperson has declined comment. Novartis doesn't plan to join the frenzy over weight loss drugs. The company's CEO telling CNBC it prefers to focus instead on areas where it can create unique position. He says Novartis is researching treatments to deal with the secondary effects of weight loss, but doesn't plan to compete directly with Novo Nordisk, which makes Ozempic, and Eli Lilly, that's the maker of Mounjaro. The obesity drug market is estimated to hit $200 billion in the coming decade. And the former CEO of MoviePass pleading guilty to securities fraud this week for his role in a scheme to mislead investors. Reports say with that plea, Mitch Lowe is admitting to making false claims about how sustainable the company's plan was to offer unlimited access to movies for $9.95 a month. That subscription plan started in 2017, but it eventually led to the demise of MoviePass as it burned through cash, shut down in 2019, and later filed for bankruptcy. Lowe faces up to 5 years in prison. Savannah.
Wow. All right, Savannah, thank you so much. That one took a turn. Well, now to a brand new lawsuit filed against Miley Cyrus. The singer's accused of copying fellow superstar Bruno Mars on her hit song Flowers. So this lawsuit, it alleges that the 2023 smash rips off multiple elements from a Bruno Mars song called When I Was Your Man. That includes everything from the melody and harmony to the sequence of the lyrics. Flowers, obviously, you know the song. You probably love the song. It became a global #1 hit. It earned Miley the Grammy for Best Record and Best Pop Solo Performance. And I think won all of our hearts, right? Well, now the company behind the lawsuit says, quote, it is undeniable that Flowers would not exist without When I Was Your Man. Cyrus has not yet commented on these allegations. Here to help us talk through this is Billboard senior legal correspondent Bill Donahue. Bill, good morning. Great to be with you. So, okay, just to be clear, which is very interesting to me. So it's not Bruno Mars himself going after Miley or saying Miley copied him, right? It's just this company that owns the copyright shares of his song. Can you explain that difference and why it's significant?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, just as important as who is filing this lawsuit is who is not filing this lawsuit.
Right.
It was not filed by Bruno Mars. It was filed by a company called Tempo Music Investments, and they purchased a piece of these song rights from one of Mars's co-writers, and they are now bringing this lawsuit saying that that this song infringes the earlier song. But just to be clear, it is not Mars himself saying that.
So for people who don't know, let's say, either of these songs, I think Flowers certainly proliferated it, and most people have at least heard it. But maybe you don't know the Bruno Mars song, for example. Do these just sound the same to the casual listener?
Well, when Miley's song came out last year, people pretty immediately noticed that there were these, these similarities in the lyrics. They seem to almost reply to the earlier song. You know, when Mars says, "I should have brought you flowers," Miley says, "I can buy myself flowers." When I should have held your hand, Miley says, "I can hold my own hand." So, and then there's a few more in there, and so it's pretty clear that she was replying or alluding or retorting to this earlier song. But this lawsuit claims that it goes beyond just those lyrics.
This is actually the fourth time, I was surprised to learn that Miley's been sued over copyright infringement. I guess first, just how common is this within the music industry? That either an artist sues another artist or something like this, somebody just behind the scenes owns the copyright, somebody decides, hey, I don't know, those seem like they were inspired by each other. Is that common?
Yeah, it is quite common. We've seen Taylor Swift spent years litigating over the lyrics to Shake It Off by another group that had written a song that involved players and haters. And, we've seen Ed Sheeran face these lawsuits. We've seen Dua Lipa face these lawsuits. There was a very, very big case about 10 years ago involving blurred lines. So it is a pretty common thing and, a common problem if you're some of these big artists facing these lawsuits. And yes, Miley has faced previous cases. She was sued back in 2018 over sort of also a lyrical question that by a reggae artist who said that she had taken some lyrics from her song "We Can't Stop." So she has faced these before, and it is an ongoing issue in the music industry.
So how does this ultimately get decided? I mean, I imagine it's not just people in court listening to both deciding, they do sound a lot alike, and I said yes. I mean, where's the line between artistic license and copyright infringement? How is it actually litigated?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question that's posed by this case because it's sort of a time-honored tradition in the music industry, this kind of answer song. You allude to an earlier song, you clap back at an earlier song. It's something we've seen before, and it's something that we haven't historically seen lead to copyright litigation. Here, they say that it's the core of this song, and that that it does rise to that level of you copied our lyrics. Experts that I talk to seem to think that they're skeptical of these claims. That just because she used the earlier song as a reference point, that she seemed like she wanted to comment on it and fire back a little bit, doesn't rise to the level of copyright infringement.
I feel like I've heard even in some of these cases that some people claim they've never even heard the other song, which makes it really interesting. Bill Donahue, really interesting conversation, especially about a song that we all know and love. Thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up, the story behind this adorable baby hippo who's become a global sensation, how she's now so popular. Officials at a zoo in Thailand have had to step in to keep her safe. It's up next. We're going to end this hour on this Wednesday with a really fun one for you. The lifestyle icon captivating the internet. It's a baby hippo, Mu Dang. She's gone viral for her playful antics at a Thailand zoo. She's inspiring memes that have flooded social media feeds. NBC's international correspondent Janice Mackey-Freyer has more.
Well, I hope you're ready for the baby that is breaking the internet. Her name is Mu Ding. She's a tiny pygmy hippopotamus in Thailand and a giant star here in Asia and around the world, winning millions of fans on TikTok and Instagram, doing what Mu Ding does best, being cute. At 2 months old, she is the moment. With her rosy cheeks and those squishy rolls, Mu Ding is not your average cute baby. The 2-month-old pygmy hippopotamus born at a zoo in Thailand is so next-level adorable, she's quickly become an internet sensation with millions of followers who can't get enough. Maybe it's the toothless chewing, her clumsy bath time, or that dewy look. Whatever it is, the zoo's videos of how Mu Ding spends her days have gone viral. When her flubber shakes, it's so cute, this tourist says. Mu Ding's name translates roughly to bouncing pig or pork patty. The obsession isn't only online. Real-life attendance at the zoo has skyrocketed too. Unfortunately, the craze is raising safety concerns that people are harassing the baby hippo to get her attention. Officials are now imposing crowd controls and 5-minute time limits. This phenomenon is beyond our expectations, says the zoo's director, of what he calls Mu Ding fever. Pygmy hippos are native to West Africa and are classified as endangered, with only 2,000 or so remaining in the wild. So the birth of a baby in captivity is an event. For this it girl, there's already merchandise, branding, and a makeup ad. From sports events to the Empire State Building, Mu Ding seems to be everywhere. An unlikely icon wiggling her way to stardom. Of course, people have been flocking to the zoo to see Mu Ding for real, but if you can't manage the flight to Thailand right now, you can find her online to track the bouncing around when she gets new teeth and all the latest facial expressions on any of her official channels.
Janice, thank you. That was fun. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Stay with us. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.